Good evening, Wood County. I'm Megan Gallagher, General Manager here at BG24 News, filling in for Madeline Fenning tonight. Every week, we bring you the stories that matter most on campus, in the community, across the state, and the nation. The Producers Panel is where we take a step back and talk about the stories that we cover in our own opinion. But these opinions do not reflect the views of the organization or the university, and they do not impact the way that we cover these or any other stories. This evening, we're going to talk about a boxing program for at-risk youth in Toledo, and in breaking news, we're going to talk about the school shooting in Washington and missing student Hannah Graham. Plus, we'll be talking about the latest White House security breach. It's all next on your BG24 News Producers Panel. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to go ahead and introduce everyone before we go into the first story. So right here we have Katie Runke, who is our sports director for BG24, Matt Heitkamp, our executive producer, and we have Amy Steigerwald, who is a new reporter with us this semester. So thank you guys for being with us tonight.
No problem.
Yeah, it's really happy to have you guys here. Now our first story is about the International Boxing Club in Toledo. Harry Cummins, the director of this club, grew up with a rough life. His experiences have inspired him to use boxing as a way to prevent children from living the lifestyle that he did. BG24 sports director Katie Runke spoke with Cummins about the way he gives children a second chance.
Toledo's International Boxing Club is helping kids stay off the streets, one punch at a time. Free of charge, kids have a place to turn when there is nowhere else to go. Founder Harry Cummins created the club to pay it forward to the community.
I feel it's my duty to give back to the kids in our community. And I'm making these kids promise me when they grow up, they give back to the community.
Young boxers like Michael Tolson learn important lessons, all while having fun.
You get to do matches and stuff, and you just get to run and play with your friends.
But having fun is just one part of the club's mission. The club lets kids unwind, but also stay on top of their studies. The only rule to box? Good grades. Education is made a priority. Kids have to hit the books in the classroom before hitting the bags. Cummins says the main goal is to prepare them for after the fight.
I want these kids to be champions, not just in the ring, but more important, outside of the ring. We want champions in life.
At the end of the day, boxing is just a sport, but the club is changing lives all around. For BG24 Sports, I'm Katie Warnke.
Katie, what did you find out about this boxing club in Toledo?
Well, Harry Cummins actually, like you had said, he grew up with a rough life. When he was younger, he was on a Little League baseball team, and he lied about where he lived. He lived in an area that had lower income, and he was embarrassed about it. So he lied on the roster where he was from, and the team found out about it, and the coach actually kicked him off, and he said, "I never want to see you again, don't come back here." So he ended up getting into some trouble when he was younger, and he turned himself around, and now he wants to help kids in Toledo turn their lives around and stay out of that trouble. So this program is actually free for kids in Toledo aged 8 to 17. They can go there. Before they box, they actually require them to study for 1 hour in the classroom and do homework because he wants to keep his grades up. He said when he first started this program, none of the kids they were all failing their grades. Over 75% of the kids he had were failing in class. So he made education a big priority in the club, and like I said, it's free for them to join. It's just a fun way for them to stay off of the streets and have something fun to do. Cummins actually started it with money from his own pocket. He took $25,000 out from his own money to start up this club. It's all run on sponsorships and fundraising. It was a really touching story to go cover, because you see these little kids who are 8 and 10, 11, and they come from broken homes, and they come from single parent homes where maybe their mom's at work all the time and they don't get that attention that they need. And so they can go there and they can let some stress out, just have fun with friends, while they can also learn to become a better person, do some homework and everything.
And
too.
I feel like there's no other better way to do that than boxing. Is there anything that you guys did, like, were there sports for you guys that helped you guys like relieve stress or anything?
Well, yeah, sports has always been a stress reliever for myself. Go out there and run around, throw the football around, basketball. I was kind of curious, what kind of boxing do they do? Do they just do they box each other, or do they just box with like punching bags?
When I was there, they were just boxing with punching bags. A lot of the kids, he said, just come and they like to just box with punching bags just to let out some of that stress. He has 2 teams actually. One's the B team, which does just that, and then the A team, he'll actually take to tournaments throughout the country. Okay. And Michael Tolson, who we saw on that package, his first competition tournament is actually this Saturday, and he is 9, so he's pretty excited for that.
That is so exciting. Now, you said it's free. Like, how does he manage to keep this business? Is it a business, or how does he manage to keep it together?
Well, he did, like I said, he had started it all from his own pocket. He said it was a lot of money, but he felt that it was his time to give back to the community. Now, it runs mainly on sponsorships. He said he got one sponsorship where they got a bunch of computers for a classroom that's just right inside the same room as the boxing. And this company gave him those computers, taught the kids how to build them, and so now those kids can teach other kids how to build them. And so he said they have a few main sponsors, but there's a board group, a committee of some parents, and they all help and raise money with fundraising. And they have something going on this weekend. I can't remember what it is, but they have something going on this weekend just to earn some more money too. So it's not state funded. It's not, like I said, it's free of charge, so he doesn't get any profit from it. It is all just sponsorships, fundraising, and based from his own heart, pretty much.
That's awesome. Have you guys ever heard of anything like this? Or, I mean,
Not really.
Yeah, being from Cleveland, I would feel like I would hear more about this, but I think, were you going to say something, Amy?
That's really interesting to hear about, because a man with such a big heart, he's willing to take children to travel, teach them better study skills. That's really a good program, especially for kids who might not have that opportunity somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think the studying thing is huge, because especially now, I think that's a really good foundation for like student athletes. I mean, I know here people complain about these student athletes that are kind of just breezing their way through school, and that is something that kids just complain about because they think that they're getting something that, like they're getting a free ride. But it's also like really a kind of a concerning thing, because it's like, are these athletes really ready to go out into the real world? Because in reality is not all of them are going to make it to the NBA or the NFL or something like that. And I think that's really interesting too, because I think I kind of lost my train of thought, but I just think that's really interesting, because a lot of these kids are just determined, and you hear so many professional stories of these kids that came from nowhere. So what do you guys think about that kind of aspect of it?
Yeah, and also I think it's a good way for these kids to, instead of being on the street, letting their aggression go, they can go and box, which I've heard of programs in the past that do stuff like that, where they have kids, come in and take, and that way they're not on the street letting out their aggression, which is more healthy.
Yeah, I definitely.
Boxing is just a sport you never really hear of that often. You
Yeah.
know? Like you hear baseball and basketball programs, but boxing, that's so uncommon. So that's a really unique experience for all of them.
It definitely is. Cummins actually, he did say that he had 11 students that he's worked with go to college, and one of them is a junior at BGSU. There's a few at UT, I think he said 4. And he said he does think it's because of this program that they got themselves into, because it gives them a chance to really stand out and become themselves without that influence of, just of the gangs and just the other things.
The next thing I was going to ask you, so he was saying that, like you just said, that he has these students that become really successful. Does he do anything like with scholarships or anything when they're like 17 and they've aged out of the program?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't ask him on that part.
Okay.
I don't think he does.
Okay, well, it's a really cool story, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the breaking news of Hannah Graham, who's a student at University of Virginia, and the school shooting in Washington. We'll be right back. But next, we'll be talking about, we have some breaking news now. Hannah Graham was first gone missing beginning of September. I believe it was September 18th, and they have just released that they have found her body. Hannah Graham went missing about a week ago. She went missing September 18th, and remains were found about a week ago in a house that one of her suspects was frequently visiting, and they have just released that they found her remains, and she was a student at the University of Virginia. She was out on the town, kind of the town near the campus when she went missing. And then there was also today a school shooting at a high school, and it's called Marysville, Washington. Now, these things bring up a lot of concerns about safety. Safety in a university and safety in a high school, which both are very big schools. What do you guys think about this?
Yeah, coming from universities, obviously, either big or small, where you're talking about Virginia or even here in BG, that attracts a lot of people. And attracting a lot of people obviously can lead to having the wrong kind of people around. And it's just a kind of a scary situation, obviously.
Right. And I know that they were saying Hannah was just coming home from the bars like a lot of us do sometimes, and she was texting her friend and said, oh yeah, I'm on my way back now, and then she just like went missing. What do you guys, I mean, especially as girls, you know, everyone's saying that girls should go home in pairs of two. What do you guys think about being able to go home alone at night? Is that something you should do, or do you guys fear your safety here at BG?
I think just knowing your surroundings and knowing how to handle yourself in a situation is definitely necessary on any college campus, big, small, whatever. It's being a female, it's probably a little more important because we are seen as more defenseless, but having an awareness of campus, like things offered on the campus to help you be safe is definitely most important.
Right. What do you think, Katie?
I completely agree. I think you definitely need to be aware of your surroundings, where you are, the area that you're in, what the crime is like. I mean, I went to the University of Cincinnati for 2 years, and you never walked home by yourself. Even past 6 o'clock, you would never walk home by yourself. And so I think it's definitely more concerning for women, just because, like Amy said, you are seen as more defenseless. So it is something to be concerned about. I'm not so concerned in Bowling Green, but you do need to be aware.
That's what I was going to ask next. Do you guys feel safe here in BG? We've had our fair share of kind of scares this semester, and I know in the past year, recently, they just released some photos today actually, but recently there was a robbery and like it was a assault right outside, right honestly near here in West Hall. And there we got pictures, one of our reporters did a story on it, and her boyfriend's house right outside of there was a huge blood splatter, and that's kind of concerning. Do you guys feel safe here?
I mean, I do feel safe. Obviously, every city is going to have their issues. I mean, we had those. There were several actually assault and robberies that weekend, I believe. And also, you often about the prison, not the prison breakouts, but the security breakouts. So it's a little disarming. But overall, I think I do feel safe. It's just something that you gotta kind of watch out for. It's be safe to have, like, always have a battle buddy system.
Sure.
You know, always travel with people, like especially late at night and stuff.
And then kind of shifting from feeling safe just, by your surroundings or your people, this shooting in Washington, so right now they have confirmed, the last time that I looked, they have confirmed that there are 2 people dead, including the suspect and a victim. Now, that is a completely different issue of safety. Bringing things into a university or a school that could harm somebody, a gun, a knife, anything like that. What do you guys think these schools maybe aren't doing? Is there something that they aren't doing, or is there something they can do more of to keep security? And I mean, a high school is hard. They've had a lot of school shootings, but like they try and raise the security, and maybe it's not working.
Well, like for high school, it's a little bit easier to raise security because it's smaller, it's more confined. You can have, metal detectors and stuff. That is something you really can't do for a university because Virginia University, again, a couple years back, they had that, it was Virginia Tech shooting.
Right.
And so that can get a little more trickier, where high school, if it's in a place where it's happened, they definitely do need to step up the security, whether it's metal detectors or, just something like that.
What do you guys think?
I think it all starts at home for high school. I mean, the shooter, I read that he was a freshman, so that's 14, 15 years old. And I think it all starts at home, because if he can't get those weapons, then it's just gonna nip it all in the bud right there. So I think it starts at home, but I think that there can be some security ramp ups. Maybe they do need metal detectors at high schools. I don't really know if it's a problem that can be stopped.
Yeah, well, I don't think they have to have them at every high school, because every once in a while you're getting into people's privacy and their own rights. And obviously, if it's not needed, don't do it. But if it gets to the point where they think it should happen, then maybe they have to consider it.
Also, I think sometimes metal detectors and big equipment like that can make students who are innocent feel more nervous in school. It makes them feel as if something is going to happen to them. So maybe a school is caught between making students feel as if they are at home or making students feel safe, and that's probably the problem that might be at hand.
Right, and I think it definitely has a lot to do with starting at home, but you said that you thought he was a freshman, and that's just, it's like at home, what do you guys think that if you were a parent, what would you tell your kids about? Because that's something I feel like lately now in the past couple of years, that's been something that parents have to tell their kids now, and it used to just be about, oh, don't leave your drink at a party, and don't, like we said, don't walk home alone. But what would you guys say to your kid about like walking into their school where they're supposed to feel safe, and like telling your kid too, like make sure you never bring a gun to school? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you're right. It starts with the parents. They got to be the ones to set the example. They got to be the ones to set their child down or their children down and explain these things to them. Because I mean, if they're not educated about it, and they have to set the example. They can't be having just guns lying around anywhere. They have to explain to them the issue with that.
I think some of the hype is almost blown out of proportion, though. I mean, you see these little kids who are in 2nd grade get suspended for what one kid ate his Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun, and he got in trouble for it. Or even like having like your hand in the shape of a gun.
Right.
I mean, I did that when I was a kid, and I never got in trouble for that. So I think some of it is blown out of proportion, and I think that's also partly the media's fault, but that's something that I don't think parents need. I don't think it's something that parents need to directly drill into their kids, like don't bring a gun to school, but maybe just keep a better eye on your kid.
True. Now, really quick, where would you guys, if something happened here, where would you go to on campus? Like, where would you feel the most safe? Honestly, I think in our very own newsroom, I would run down there, and I have keys to it. I would lock the door. But where would you guys go?
I'm going to go with you. I would lock myself in the sports office. I mean, it's a very small room. There's no windows, and there's a big wooden door.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, either like the closest locked door I could find, or somewhere where there'd be a lot more people, because I think with a lot more people, in most cases, that wouldn't be targeted as much as like being singled out. And obviously the police station might be a safe place to go.
That's true.
I would probably lock myself in the equipment room because it has a code to get in.
Oh, that's so true.
No one would get in there.
So we definitely have some advantages to being a journalist. Well, that's all we have for this, and we do want to send our condolences to Hannah Graham's family and the victims at the shooting at the high school in Washington. And now, after this break, we'll be talking about the latest White House security breach and our thoughts on the security measures being taken. Stay with us. Welcome back. Last Wednesday night, the White House had yet another security breach. This is 5 in 2014. This time, the suspect hopped the fence and ran across the yard until the police dogs subdued him. Sorry. Oh, I'm just not really good with my words today, you guys. Now, are you guys concerned? We were just talking about security in high schools and things like that. But this is security that is supposed to be top-notch. Like, this is security that was supposed to be there in the first place. What do you guys think about this? Like I said, the 5th one in 2014.
Yeah, and it was actually the 3rd time in less than 2 months.
Yes.
So, and I know recently the Secret Security director was fired, was let go earlier this month. And so that we would think after the first 2 incidents, or even their earlier incidents, that bigger security was being made, and also the fact that that these people are able to just climb the fence, and even though they're not making it, well, the one guy did earlier, but this guy didn't make it very far. But still, they shouldn't just be able to hop over that fence, especially if that's where the president lives.
Right, and I think it's hard where you draw the line, because that fence, like, people take pictures in front of it. You can't make it like electrics, like somebody's gonna get hurt. And so I think it's really hard, because I think that is a huge thing. I was looking at this article, and it was saying that some of the people that have hopped it in recent years I wouldn't even count them as like somebody that did it because they were children that just like squeezed through the fence. But these are kids that can just, like, this fence is just a regular fence. Do you guys think that there needs to be more security around the vicinity of the White House?
I think that you could add maybe a few more Secret Service people, or a few more, what is it? I don't, it's not the SWAT team, but whoever it is standing around their Secret Service, I guess. But I don't think that any more security should be taken, maybe like putting up a second fence behind the other one. because you don't want to make it seem like the president is too closed off from the rest of the people, because that's going to set a really bad example, and it's just going to distance the government from the people.
And it is a tourism site.
Yeah.
I know, every time I hear something about this in the news, I keep thinking that it's the same story, like just an update, but then it's like, oh no, it's a different person. But I've visited the White House, and it's obvious. You can just look right through the fence and see the White House, and there are plenty of people around, so I question why no one took action. I mean, they could obviously see him climbing the fence. I would do something if I was there.
That's how I feel too. Like, and the interesting part about this current suspect, he has tried this before, and he is, from what I have in this article here, he is diagnosed with paranoia and schizophrenia. And his dad was saying that he just hears voices, and he's always talking about how he was telling his dad, like, I'm going to go to the White House and I'm going to give the president a piece of my mind because I'm not being treated fairly, because he wanted to play football at I don't remember, Stevenson University in Westminster, Maryland, and they didn't let him on the team, and I'm assuming it was probably for, the drugs that he is on for his paranoia and everything. But anyway, he was very angry about it, and so he decided that he was going to go tell the president and hop the fence, and he was successful. Now, I mean, what would you, like you were saying, like if you see somebody doing this, his dad kind of knew that he was going to do this. Like, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, he was always out around the fence, just asking, hey, can I talk to the president?
Yes.
Stuff like that. And he actually did it at night, so that might have made it a little bit easier, so not as many people would have seen him. And he was actually he was charged with assaulting an officer, because it wasn't the Secret Service that got him; it was the K-9 unit that got him. It wasn't even people that were the ones that were first to respond, which is a little. That's a little weird. I mean, obviously that's good that those K-9s are there and they're doing their job right, but.
You know what I always thought, because I remember when I went to the White House as well, it's like literally in the city on a street corner, and I always thought that maybe it should be in a different location in Washington. Now, I'm not proposing that we move it right now, but I just feel like it's in such a busy place, and maybe it just seems that way because it's a tourist attraction anyway, but it just seems like anyone could find it and go over there and just like we said, hop the fence. I mean, did you ever think that?
I've actually never really thought that before. That's an interesting point. But I'm going to go back to the point that if you move it, that's first of all taking away all of that history, yes. And then that is also going to show the people that, hey, yeah, we don't want you near the president because you're a danger to the president and his family. So while in theory it might be a good idea, I don't think I'm going to be for that.
Yeah,
if that's on the ballot, I'm not voting for that one.
It's a really crazy proposition, but that was just something that I always seemed strange to me, that it was just in such a busy location. And I think they've talked about that before, about it wasn't a school shooting, but I know something occurred right down the street from the White House. I don't remember when it was or anything, but it was just, everyone was really concerned because they were like, oh my gosh, this is right from the White House, is the president home, are his kids safe, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, and part of the reason that the director for the Secret Service was let go was, I'm not sure when it was earlier, they actually found bullet holes in the White House walls. And no one got hurt. This was a while ago, but that it was kind of swept underneath the rug, and then it came to light once all these other security breaches happened. So yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully there's none and they can figure out what to do about this. But coming up when we return, we'll be discussing next week's shows and our plans for Halloween. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Now, before we go, of course, we can't not talk about Halloween. So we're just going to go around. What are your guys' plans for Halloween? Katie?
I will actually be at my internship in Toledo, but Saturday I'm going to be at the hockey game. I'll be shooting it, but I'll be at the hockey game.
And I'm sure that'll be fun for Halloween. Everyone's probably going to dress up. The bleacher creatures will already be dressed up anyway.
Oh, I'm sure they will be.
Right. And for me right now, we're having a Halloween party, and I have no idea what I am being. And it's really scary because I've had some pretty good costumes, so I'm kind of low-key freaking out about it, but I'm excited. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm heading to Dayton this weekend for some Halloween festivities, and also BG next week, and I'm going as a member of the Night's Watch from the show Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's awesome. What about you, Amy?
I'm actually going as sort of myself. I'm being Veronica Corningstone, with my friend, and we're being the Anchorman crew.
That's going to be so fun. Everyone's always like, you should be Veronica Corningstone for Halloween. So I think it'll be really great. But that's all we have for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, on Twitter, and on our website, of course. But thank you so much again, and stay with us for our show next week. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone.